Welcome to Coffee and the Bull.
He said, I was driving a truck from Texas up to New York. And he said, I was going down the interstate. And he said, all of a sudden, he said, I started hearing these jets. And he said, these jets were flying over. He said, and they were dropping nuclear bombs all down the interstate. And he said, I just had to get out of the interstate, and seek for cover. He said, so I pulled off the first interstate, bless you. The first road I found, and he said I jumped out of my truck, and he said I ran around the truck for a minute, and they were still dropping the bombs. And he said I ran to the nearest building and busted the window and went inside. And he said I was really thirsty, so I drank the water, and he said now I'm here. So
no clue what he was doing.
No clue.
Meth is a hell of a drug.
Right.
Clue.
That's where my brain went. I was like, you messed that one up. Let's
Yeah.
So, all right.
So that's the end of the story.
I did not know that. I did
Yeah.
not. I just thought it was your standard.
standard burglary.
Hey, I was
Yeah.
looking for something, and
Yeah.
I think all that was in there because they were still setting up the showroom for that business.
They were.
Yeah.
I think all that was in there was just a bunch of heavy chains.
Yeah.
I just marked it up to he didn't want to carry something heavy out of there.
Right.
So look, let's shift gears a little bit. Tell us about your two books. You got Hammerhead and Cobalt.
Yes.
Give us a walkthrough of your books.
So Hammerhead is the first book in the series. It's a series all centered around an FBI agent by the name of Nick Bradshaw.
Okay.
And the first book, Hammerhead, and it's named after an operation called Hammerhead.
Okay.
And
Been a lot cooler if it was named after a shark.
Right. so it's funny because of the political atmosphere that we're in now. Because I wrote this, I started writing it, several years ago, but I finished it 2 years ago, and now here we are. But it's about generally about the president, getting tired of fentanyl and heroin coming across the southern border. And he ends up sending special operations south of the border to take care of business. And in doing so, they run into some major problems trying to get back. Everything went fine with the operation, the initial operation, but then on their way back, they run into some major problems. And that's where Nick Bradshaw and some guys with the Special Activities Division of the CIA come into play. And it's action-packed.
So I know you looked up to me in the little bit of time we spent time together. Am I the basis of your main character? I feel like that's what's going on.
Yeah,
no.
It's based off you.
Yeah, I thought so.
So yeah, and it's again this about the first 30 pages of it are character world building, and but from then on it's action packed to the end.
Yeah,
and it deals with a lot of aspects of law enforcement and things that people in our world would understand. But I also have it, it's in layman's terms where people can understand what's going on.
Right. So it's a cop book that you ain't got to be a cop to understand.
Correct.
So this is books 1 and 2. Is there 3 coming out?
There is. I'm right at 30,000 pages. I mean, 30,000.
Wow. I was like, wow, that's a hell
you're
of a book.
overestimating how much I'm about to read.
Right. Oh. So
30,000
War and
words.
Peace,
Yeah.
rewritten.
You lost me a couple pages ago.
30,000 words, about 90 pages
Right,
into the third
Okay.
one, and it's called Frontera.
Okay.
And,
Gotcha.
It kind of brings everything back to the U.S. and back across the border again, but more of a, without giving too much away, it's more of a terrorist.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is the book that I come in. Got it.
Yeah,
Right.
that's where you're the main character in that one.
You're welcome.
So,
It's the better looking character. Got it.
The fourth one can be Coffee and the Bull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we'll go with.
Yeah.
But so now that you've got obviously the first one you were excited about publishing, the second one you're still riding that high. Do you find it still staying therapeutic, or do you think it's becoming a little bit more work?
No. I mean, no. I don't, because I don't rely on it for income or anything like that. And I mean, I don't expect that. I really enjoy writing. And the therapeutic part of it is sitting down, like I said earlier, and being able to dive off into that world,
Right.
And totally immerse myself,
Right.
Because I don't have, a whiteboard with all this stuff on it saying this is what's going to happen next, and that's not fun to me.
Are you making fun of us for our whiteboard?
No, I did see it up there.
Okay.
No. So it just wouldn't be fun for me. A lot of writers, and I'm not down in that. A lot of writers, have that,
right,
and that's the way that they think. It's just the way that I think, and the way that being therapeutic for me as a writer. That's just the way I do it.
Right. When you started writing, was the goal to become published, or was this just an outlet at the time?
No. So as I said, when I first wrote the first 3 pages, it was literally that. It was just a kind of a de-stressor, to put some stuff on paper and
take it out of here and put it there.
Put it on paper, get my mind in another place, and do that. And I really didn't have that, as an outcome that I was going to be published. And then when I finally got a job about 3 years ago, which was more of a desk job, I was like, I'm going to sit down and really start putting some words on paper. And because, you think about that stuff, it's never going to go away.
Right.
And the other thing, dealing with that sort of stuff is, I think a lot of people who deal with traumatic events, think they should always keep it in the back of their mind and not bring it up or think about it, stuff like that. I think, I think it's okay. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to put some of those stressors out through paper or whatever.
So we had talked several times about how a lot of times there's this misconception that, like, hey, you've been through something bad. And I'm not talking about law enforcement or combat vets, just your regular guys, whether it be, a dad taking his kids to school, getting a car wreck or whatever, and somebody being injured. Like, we always take and we compare ourselves to other people.
Sure.
Because it's like, hey, why is this bothering me when this guy's got this going on? And, it's his cards have been dealt so much worse than mine, so why am I going to complain to somebody about it? It's not necessarily complaining, it's just talking about it. It's trying to get it off of your chest.
It is.
I know that in 2020 I had to go see a therapist. It was a fit for duty type thing.
Right.
And she had told me, she said, look, it was not a good experience. I'll put it that way. It's kind of like going to the doctor.
Terrible. It was a terrible
go to the doctor
experience.
And they're like, hey, do you smoke, a little bit, like I smoke cigars or whatever, do you drink?
Sure.
I was a cop. I was drinking like a fish at the time. And I wasn't exercising, I was eating fast food, wasn't sleeping right because I was on night
Typical
shift.
police, right?
Like there was nothing good about, everything she wanted to check on the list. I was failing, and I was failing it miserably. And she was talking to me. She said, look, what type of hobbies do you have? I'm like, I don't know if you've been listening to this interview that you've had with me, but I work nights, and then I had a second job. I was had my own little construction business at the time. So I was like, I don't have time for a hobby. And I was like, on top of that, if I did, like the way my bank account was set up, I was not going to afford going to a golf course,
Sure.
and or anything like that. And so she's like, well, look, you went to college and it was surprised some people who know me that don't really know me is I have an English major. I went to college, majored in language and literature. And so she's like, well, look, do you like to write? I said, yeah, I like to write. Like I like to write, fictional stuff or whatever. And she's like, well, why don't you do that? And I took that advice as like, you don't know what you're talking about. I know. I'll do me. You do you. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
So I didn't do anything with it. And then just recently, a year and a half ago, I kind of started putting kind of the same thing, putting words on paper.
Yeah.
And I don't have 2 books coming out of it yet. Mine's a little bit different.
Still in the coloring phases.
Right.
Yeah, still. I'm coloring the pictures in.
So do you find it helpful?
So I find it helpful until I start getting critical of myself. Until I start.
He is the only one that's critical of himself.
But I found it helpful in just kind of escaping a little bit. Because
Sure.
it's 100%. It's a Bigfoot novel of all things. And so immediately some people are like, but it's. None of it's real, and so obviously you're escaping way off into no man's land, and you can kind of do whatever you want. You don't have to answer to anybody with it. But I don't know that it'll ever be a published work or whatever.
The only person that's
we're not starting that. We're not starting that.
Yeah, I'm with him on this one.
But I do find it interesting that something as simple as that, because honestly, a lot of guys have very creative imaginations. And we're always. I find that a lot of guys are fascinated with series like the Nick Bradshaw series or Tom Clancy with Jack Reacher and all these other different things, and all the way down to werewolves and zombies and horror flicks.
I love
So
zombies.
the imagination is there, and it's something as simple as just grabbing a laptop or the iPad and just typing something or writing it.
Absolutely.
Heaven forbid, check this out, kids. Grab that pen and that piece of paper,
right,
and just start handwriting that stuff. Handwriting it down on the paper. Yeah. So I find it interesting that you used it as therapy. Did you have anybody instruct you to do that?
Mm-mm.
See, you kind of did it on your own, whereas I had to have technically a doctor tell me to do it. I didn't listen in any more than I do a health doctor.
Sure.
But I do. I find it interesting that it's an approved route, and you did it without.
The thing is, you don't, just like you said, you don't have to publish anything.
Right.
If somebody's having problems, with something traumatic or anything in their life like that, they don't have to publish it all. You can put it on paper and you can throw it away or
light it on fire in the backyard.
Yeah, whatever. But getting it out sometimes, just by either typing it or writing it or whatever. Getting out of your mind and on to something else. Mm-hmm. It's just something about it is therapeutic.
Right.
And I can't describe it, but
so through the course of everything, we're looking at a 19-year career and everything else, and extremely different types of stresses in different situations. Was the opportunity for say counseling or therapy ever laid out in front of you in a positive way of hey, if you want to try this out, it's right here, you can just pick this up?
So yes and no. Not just in my face, like in your face, here, this is always available to you if you need it.
Right.
The only time that I can say that it was really brought up and it was offered, was at one of the OISs I was involved with. They offered it then,
right.
And I mean, I was good, at least I thought it was, most
right.
of us do. And again, we're going back to the, being the type A personality cop, I don't need to talk to a therapist, what do I need that for? But looking back, I mean, I think honestly, it doesn't hurt if it's offered to you every time to take it.
That's been kind of our stance is, in the beginning, I'm good, I don't need any of this,
right.
whatever.
But
I think the longer you stay in this realm is more of, and no, if it's available and it can be beneficial to you, take advantage of
Absolutely.
That. It's I'm starting to see more of a shift, and it may be that I'm hanging out with guys who have been doing this longer than just the rookie trying to burn up stats.
Sure,
right.
Sure.
I definitely see a larger shift into getting some type of mental health.
Yeah,
and that's kind of what the importance of it is sometimes sitting down and talking to a friend, or sitting down and talking to a therapist, or in this case writing a novel.
Right.
It's all about finding the appropriate outlet for your stressors, and not being the guy that sits at home and fuels the fire instead of getting a nice smother of the fire.
Because a lot of times those demons come at you, whenever you're by yourself, or you're just sitting there thinking, or whatever, and those doors that you've compartmentalized get open.
Right.
And, those things come out, and it's if you have that ability to be able to have an outlet of some sort, it's always better than the alternative in some cases.
Right. The final checkout.
And I can't sit here and say that my faith in religion also didn't have a major role in that, and me being able to cope with some of the things throughout my career. It'd be absurd for me to sit here and say that it wasn't. But those my religion and faith coupled with a definite outlet that I was able to figure out have allowed me to get to where I'm mentally, I think, I'm good, and I'm able to get through those things daily or weekly or whenever those things come up.
It's fantastic. So let's, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up a little bit. But for the listener who he's like, hey, I'm on my way home. I'm tired of listening to these two guys, but I am interested in Jason's book. How can they find your book, or where can they go to listen to it, or whatever?
So it's all through Amazon. You can order it through Amazon on audiobook, paperback, hardback, and ebook.
Okay.
Both of them right now. Frontera will be out. I'm hoping Frontera will be completed midsummer and out by
Okay.
late summer. So it'll be in those same formats at that point. And you can pick them up at Barnes and Noble and Books A Million and places like that.
Gotcha.
But generally you have to order it, but they do have them.
What about the hats?
So
Or is that
those
special
are,
hats?
Those are special hats
Special
for
hats.
guys
Okay.
like you.
Okay. So
you
for the
can't have
appropriate
one.
donation, we can. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
There's only a select few people on earth that have that hat.
So we'll definitely hold on to it.
I'm excited about that.
I do want to say I really appreciate y'all having me on
Yeah,
here.
no,
It's
not a
been
problem.
great
Not a problem at
experience.
all. So, guys, if as you, we want to say thank y'all for taking a moment and listen to this and listen to Jason kind of tell some stories. Give his book a chance. Go online, buy it on Amazon. It's not that expensive. Y'all spend money on dumber things day in and day out. DoorDash.
I do.
So
He's talking about me.
So take and show him some love. Buy his book. Maybe send him a message. He might send you a hat. We don't know. But in the meantime, if you like this episode or you like this topic or have any ideas for other topics, shoot us an email. It's coffeeandthebull@yahoo.com. We're definitely more than happy to answer any questions or include your thoughts or whatever in the next episode. So unless John,
Send me a picture of you at Barnes & Noble buying his book, and I will return you a gift. I'm not going to tell you what it is.
it's probably a wave. He's broke.
You're welcome.
Guys, in the meantime, y'all take it easy. Toodaloo.
So stupid with the toodle, dude.